Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We all know that Social Security has personal identification information of everyone in America. And I certainly cannot overemphasize the importance of this whole issue to me personally and my constituents, as well as my colleagues here, that the Social Security Administration takes cybersecurity seriously and do absolutely everything within your power to mitigate any and all threats that are potential. And, you know, we are here today because obviously there are some network infrastructure, legacy system potential compromising. There are some vulnerabilities, is perhaps a better word, and that's why we're here. But any system at the end of the day is only as good as the people who are behind the system and working with it. Mr. Clark just referred a moment ago to the August testing, and you know, there were some issues that were found. Okay, we know there are issues. So I guess let me begin, Ms. Colvin, with you. What is the Social Security Administration doing specifically to improve employee training as it relates to the vulnerabilities?
We have ongoing mandatory cybersecurity training for everyone within the agency. When any aberration is detected that has been created by an employee, that is discussed with them. I think that Marty, as our expert, can go into more specific detail, but that is something that we take very, very seriously, because we do have offices throughout the country, as well as the local DDS, state DDSs, who also have access.
Are you satisfied with the training?
We're always looking at continuous improvement. When we see something happening that would suggest that employees are not fully in compliance, we do additional training. So training is not a one-time thing, it's ongoing.
Do you see the FISMA requirements as a floor or a ceiling?
A floor, because I think that we've got to keep up with technology. We've got to always stay in front of the hackers. And that's one of the reasons when Rob talks about wanting to know where our vulnerabilities are, because we want to shore those up, because we know as soon as we fix those, the hackers are going to probably find something else, and so we want to continuously do that. Okay, so in any given month, how often do you meet with the CIO? Oh, I meet with him on a weekly basis many times. I meet with him on one-on-one. He's my direct report. He's a member of my senior executive team. We meet on Tuesdays.
What about the chief security officer?
Absolutely.
Absolutely what? How often do you meet?
We meet probably several times a week around issues. I get a weekly report from Ms. Eckert relative to cybersecurity and what is happening.
All right, what about the IG?
The IG had been invited to attend all of my...
So you feel confident that you are staying in good communication with all these as it relates to the cybersecurity vulnerabilities?
Absolutely, because cybersecurity has to be one of our highest priorities.
Yeah, it absolutely does. All right, Ms. Stone, let me go to you. The GAO recently testified to thousands of information security recommendations, and they found that agency have failed to implement those thousands of recommendations, even to the extent of 42% of the 2,000 recommendations that have been offered. Given your experience in the Inspector General's office, what are the problems? What are the challenges? Why are agencies not implementing the recommendations?
I can speak from, I guess, experience at Social Security. From time to time, you may have a policy or procedure that is managed out of a central office. The ability to replicate that across the country is sometimes challenging. For example, when there have been instances where we've identified a vulnerability in one location, maybe the agency has had an opportunity to come in and remediate it in that location. But because the security posture is not that mature, you may still see that same issue popping up somewhere else. So it really comes down to the maturity of the security posture of the agency, and that it's a culture where we are going to detect it and remediate it as soon as possible, and then prevent it from reoccurring elsewhere.
Thank the gentleman. We're now going to recognize Ms. Plaskett.